Clarity of vision is the foundation of every successful journey. Without it, even the most talented teams, the most brilliant ideas, and the most dedicated efforts drift into confusion, burnout, and underperformance. Having a clear vision doesn't mean having a motivational phrase slapped on a wall. It means defining where you're going, why you're going there, and how you're going to get there in terms that every single person on your team can understand, repeat, and use to guide their daily decisions. If you're leading a team or building a business, your ability to create clarity is a non-negotiable skill. People don't follow uncertainty, they follow confidence, but confidence isn't manufactured, it's built from direction. When people know where they're going and what's expected of them, they're energized, not exhausted. They're engaged, not checked out. They're part of something bigger than themselves, and that's where buy-in starts. Now, here's the truth. Most leaders think they've communicated their vision clearly, but they haven't. They've said it once in a team meeting, maybe mentioned it during onboarding, and assumed it was enough. It's not. People don't remember what you say. They remember what you reinforce. Vision has to be lived, repeated, measured, and embedded into your systems. Otherwise, it fades, and when vision fades, performance slips. It becomes harder to hold people accountable. It becomes harder to make decisions. It becomes harder to scale because you're operating from guesswork instead of alignment. Let's get practical. Clarity means defining your vision in 1 to 2 sentences. It should be specific, measurable, and directional. Be the best company in our industry is not a clear vision. Be the #1 provider of personalized fitness programs for women by 2027 through digital coaching and live retreats. That's getting closer. It's time-bound, it defines success, and it gives people something to anchor to. Your team can rally behind that. They can ask, how does what I'm doing today support that goal? And that question creates a culture of ownership. Clarity also demands that you tie every project and initiative back to the vision. If you're launching a new product, why are you doing it? How does it help you get closer to the vision? If it doesn't, why is it on the roadmap? Clarity acts as a filter. It helps you say no. It cuts through noise, and that's crucial because the fastest way to slow down a team is to give them too many priorities. A clear vision doesn't just inspire, it organizes. It reduces decision fatigue because people aren't constantly guessing what matters most, and here's where it gets uncomfortable. Clarity forces tough conversations. Sometimes people on your team aren't aligned with the vision or they don't want to be. That's okay, but the moment you get clear, you will expose who's in and who's out. That's not dysfunction, that's growth. A team can't move in the same direction if half the people are walking and the other half are standing still. So if clarity pushes some people out, that's not failure, that's progress, and it opens the door for the right people to step up. Let's not forget, clarity is also about pace. A clear vision helps people prioritize speed over perfection. It gives them permission to take action. When the team knows what winning looks like, they can self-correct faster. They're not frozen waiting for approval on every decision because they know the standard, they know the goal, and they've been empowered to move. This is how momentum builds, and when momentum builds, morale skyrockets. If you're leading right now and wondering why your team is moving slowly, disengaged, or producing inconsistent results, stop and ask yourself, have I been clear? Not just once, but repeatedly. Is my vision documented? Is it visible? Does my team repeat it in meetings, reference it in decision making, and use it to track progress? If not, it's not clear yet. And the good news: that's something you can fix fast. It starts with simplifying. You don't need a 30-page strategic plan. You need a vision that can be spoken in under 15 seconds and still move people. Then you reinforce it constantly. In team meetings, in one-on-ones, in performance reviews, it becomes the compass for your business. When people veer off track, you don't scold them, you guide them back to the vision. That's leadership, that's clarity. Because at the end of the day, the journey to victory doesn't start with hustle, it starts with direction. Clarity isn't fluffy, it's fuel. It's what separates hyper-forming teams from exhausted ones. It's what enables scale without chaos, and it's what allows every person, whether they are on day 1 or year 10, to connect their effort to a meaningful outcome. So if you want victory, start with clarity. Set the vision, sharpen it, speak it, live it, and don't stop until every single person on your team sees it not just with their eyes, but with their effort. That's how you win. Alignment with your team is not a motivational poster or a one-time meeting. It's a living, breathing process that you commit to daily as a leader. Without alignment, your team might be full of talented individuals, but they'll move in different directions, working hard without making meaningful progress. The worst part, everyone feels busy, but the results are scattered. You don't win by being busy, you win by being aligned. When a team is aligned, every person understands the mission, knows their role in achieving it, and is clear on what success looks like. That doesn't happen by chance, it happens by intention. It happens when you, as a leader, choose to make alignment your priority, not an afterthought. You don't assume your team is on the same page, you verify it, you reinforce it, and you fix it when it's off track. The truth is, most leaders are surprised when they find out how misaligned their team actually is. It doesn't always show up as conflict. Sometimes it shows up as silence. People don't ask questions because they don't know what's going on. They say yes to tasks they don't understand. They complete work that doesn't serve the bigger goal. And over time, this misalignment creates confusion, frustration, and resentment. Not because people are lazy, but because they don't feel connected to the mission or empowered to contribute to it. Alignment means making sure everyone understands not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it. It's easy to assign tasks. It's harder and more valuable to show people the impact of those tasks. When a team knows the why, they bring more energy to the how. They take ownership, they speak up, they challenge ideas that don't serve the mission. That kind of engagement only happens when alignment is strong. And let's talk about roles. Alignment is not just about the big picture, it's about the daily execution. Does every person on your team know what their job is, what success looks like, and how it supports the vision? Have you defined that clearly? Have you repeated it consistently? Because if you haven't, your team is guessing. And when people guess, they hesitate, they pull back, they wait for direction instead of driving results. That's why alignment also requires structure. You can't just inspire your team, you have to support them with systems. Weekly scorecards, clear KPI, regular check-ins, and real-time feedback are not optional if you want alignment. They're necessary tools that keep everyone rowing in the same direction. When someone falls behind or gets off course, the structure catches it quickly. And you, as a leader, don't have to micromanage, you just guide. But alignment doesn't mean agreement on everything. In fact, disagreement can be a sign of a healthy, aligned team as long as the mission is clear. People who are aligned can challenge each other without derailing the work because they're all trying to reach the same goal. They trust that the disagreement is about the process, not the purpose. That kind of trust doesn't show up when people are confused or disconnected. It shows up when alignment is deep and real. There's also a myth that alignment slows things down. That's false. Misalignment is what slows things down. When people have to double back, redo work, or untangle misunderstandings, that's wasted time. Alignment speeds up execution because decisions are easier. Priorities are obvious, meetings are shorter. People stop fighting for attention and start fighting for impact. Let's be clear. Alignment is your responsibility. It doesn't come from HR. It doesn't come from a single team meeting. It comes from your commitment to clarity, repetition, and accountability. You have to be willing to have hard conversations when someone is out of sync. You have to be bold enough to call out confusion when you see it. And you have to be consistent in reinforcing expectations even when it's inconvenient. One of the best questions you can ask your team regularly is, does this make sense? And not in a passive, let's move on way, but as a real check-in. If someone says yes and you can tell they don't mean it, pause, dig in, ask them to repeat back what they heard. You'll be shocked how often alignment breaks down because people are afraid to admit they're unclear. But when you create a culture where asking questions is encouraged, not punished, you build trust, and with trust, alignment becomes second nature. And don't forget, alignment is a two-way street. Your team wants to feel heard. They want their ideas and concerns to matter, so listen, ask for feedback, stay open to being wrong. You're not just aligning them to your vision, you're inviting them to shape it, own it, and deliver on it. That's where buy-in becomes belief, and belief turns into results. When alignment is real, you feel it. The team moves with rhythm. People anticipate needs. They solve problems before they escalate. There's less drama, fewer surprises, and more wins. Everyone knows the goal, everyone knows their lane, and most importantly, everyone wants to win together. That's the power of alignment. It's not about control, it's about clarity. It's about creating a shared language, a shared standard, and a shared ambition. Because when every person on your team is clear on the mission, committed to their role, and connected to the outcome, that's when vision becomes victory. Relentless execution is what separates people who dream from those who deliver. It's where your vision either gains momentum or dies a slow, frustrating death. You can have the clearest vision in the world, a perfectly aligned team, and even a market advantage, but if you don't execute with discipline, intensity, and consistency, none of it matters. Execution is not a phase of the process, it is the process, and if you're not treating it like the main event, you're already falling behind. Let's be honest, most people don't fail because they lack ideas. They fail because they don't follow through. They start strong, but the moment execution gets hard, when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, when it requires repetition, they fade, they switch gears too soon. They chase novelty instead of sticking with what works. That's not execution, that's avoidance, and it's one of the fastest ways to derail a team. Relentless execution is about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. It means holding the line on standards. It means measuring results weekly, not quarterly. It means building a culture where excellence isn't a suggestion, it's an expectation. And that kind of execution doesn't come from motivation, it comes from systems. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is assuming execution happens naturally. It doesn't. You have to create the infrastructure for it. That means clear goals, deadlines that don't shift, metrics that matter, and accountability that sticks. If you're not looking at the right numbers weekly, you don't have visibility. If you don't have visibility, you can't adjust. And if you can't adjust, you're not executing, you're guessing. Execution is also not about speed at all costs, it's about sustained, focused progress. That's why discipline beats intensity. Anyone can sprint for a week. But can your team show up with the same level of urgency on week 12, on week 35? That's what relentless looks like. It's not about going fast for a moment, it's about going far without losing steam. And that only happens when you build the habits that support high performance, day in and day out. Let's talk about the uncomfortable part. Execution demands confrontation. If someone's not hitting their targets, if a project is falling behind, if a team member is under-delivering, you can't wait to address it. You don't hint. You don't hope they figure it out. You go straight to it. Not because you're harsh, but because the mission matters. Your silence is complicity. Relentless execution means raising the bar, not lowering it to avoid discomfort. And no, this doesn't make you a micromanager. It makes you a leader, because true execution isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about building people who can do it without you. That's why you train, coach, and correct. You don't just assign tasks, you develop capacity. You help your team think, move, and decide at the level required to win. That's not control, it's empowerment with accountability. Relentless execution also means protecting your priorities like your life depends on it. Because your time is your most limited resource, every distraction, every quick favor, every nice-to have project that steals focus from your core objectives is a threat. You have to be ruthless about what gets your attention. You have to say no often and without apology, because every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the mission. But here's the beautiful part. Once a team starts executing relentlessly, confidence explodes. Why? Because progress is tangible, momentum is measurable, people don't have to guess whether they're winning. They see it in the results, and that energy creates a flywheel. The more you execute, the more your team believes. The more they believe, the harder they push. The harder they push, the faster you grow, and make no mistake, execution is contagious. If you, as a leader, show up prepared, finish what you start, and deliver consistently, your team will too. But if you make excuses, move deadlines, or tolerate mediocrity, don't be surprised when the team follows suit. Your behavior sets the ceiling for performance, always. So if you want a culture of relentless execution, it starts with you. Don't confuse movement with progress. Being busy is not the same as executing well. You have to ask, are we moving the needle on what actually matters? That's why you need weekly scorecards, focused priorities, and regular reviews. Not to create pressure, but to create progress. You don't need more meetings, you need better meetings, meetings that start on time, end on time, and drive action. Meetings where people show up prepared because they know accountability is real. And remember this, done is better than perfect. Perfection kills momentum. You can always optimize after you launch, but you can't improve something that doesn't exist. So teach your team to move, to take action, to build and adjust instead of waiting for the perfect plan. Perfection is a comfort zone. Execution lives in iteration. Relentless execution is not about stress and burnout. It's about clarity and intention. It's about setting high standards, maintaining rhythm, and removing obstacles fast. It's about leading with urgency and expecting results. It's about refusing to let drama, emotion, or confusion slow down the mission. You stay focused, you stay sharp, you stay committed. That's how vision becomes reality. That's how big goals get met. That's how you win. Because in the end, the best strategy in the world means nothing without relentless execution. Resilience in adversity is the muscle that separates those who fold under pressure from those who rise and lead. It's not about pretending everything's fine when it isn't. It's about showing up anyway. It's about choosing to stay in the fight when the path forward is unclear, when the odds feel stacked, and when everything in you wants to back down. Adversity is inevitable. Resilience is a choice when things go wrong, and they will. It's not the strategy or the spreadsheet that saves you. It's the mindset, the ability to stay grounded when the plan falls apart, the discipline to keep moving when the outcome isn't guaranteed, the commitment to your vision even when the results haven't caught up yet. That's what defines real leadership, not how you perform when everything's going well, but how you respond when it's not. Too many leaders crumble at the first sign of challenge. They take it personally. They let doubt creep in. They become reactive, emotional, or withdrawn. And it's not because they don't care, it's because they never trained for resistance. Resilience isn't natural, it's built. It's earned through the reps of staying calm under pressure, making hard decisions without all the data, and owning mistakes without blaming the circumstances. Adversity is the test. It asks, do you believe in what you're building, or were you just excited when things were easy? Because when the metrics dip, when a key hire quits, when the product launch fails, your team will look to you, and the energy you bring in that moment will set the tone. If you panic, they'll panic. If you shift blame, they'll lose trust. But if you stay steady, if you acknowledge the problem without losing perspective, they'll rally. They'll follow your lead. That's how cultures of resilience are formed. Being resilient doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing it head on with intention. It means telling your team, yes, this is hard. Yes, we missed the mark, but here's how we move forward. It's not false positivity. It's practical optimism. It's the belief that you're capable of figuring it out, not because you have all the answers, but because you're committed to doing the work, adjusting quickly, and learning faster than the problem can outpace you. And let's be clear, adversity isn't just a one-time event, it's a cycle. It shows up in many forms: client losses, revenue plateaus, misaligned teams, tech failures, public criticism. If you're growing, you're going to face it. So the goal isn't to avoid adversity, it's to build the resilience to navigate it. That's what gives you staying power. That's what keeps you in the game long enough to win. The key to resilience is preparation. You can't wait until things fall apart to start building mental toughness. It has to be part of your culture. You teach your team how to handle pressure by modeling it. You set clear standards. You push through discomfort. You talk openly about setbacks, not as failures but as fuel. When people are conditioned to expect challenges and respond instead of react, your organization becomes unshakable. You also build resilience by keeping perspective. Every adversity feels massive in the moment, but step back, zoom out, ask yourself, will this still matter in 6 months, in 1 year? If not, adjust and move. Don't let temporary setbacks steal permanent energy. The leaders who last are the ones who know when to fight and when to let go. Not every hill is worth dying on, but some are, and part of resilience is knowing the difference. Another aspect of resilience is energy management. You cannot lead through adversity if you are mentally and physically depleted. That's why recovery isn't optional, it's strategic. You need sleep, movement, and time to reset. Burnout doesn't make you tough. It makes you ineffective. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean you're weak. It means you understand that your team performs better when you're clear, focused, and emotionally stable. And let's not forget, adversity often brings your greatest growth. The lessons you learn when things break, those are the lessons that shape your systems, your standards, and your strength, but only if you're willing to examine them. Most people just try to move on as fast as possible. Resilient leaders reflect. They ask, what did we miss? What can we improve? Where did we settle? And then they make the necessary changes, not just for now, but to prevent the same problem in the future. One of the best things you can do as a leader is normalize adversity. Don't make it taboo. Don't hide it from your team. Talk about it, debrief it, celebrate the bounce back just as much as the breakthrough. Because your people need to know that falling isn't failure, staying down is. They need to know that resilience is built in the comeback, and they'll only believe that if you show them. In moments of adversity, the question isn't how do we get out of this? The question is, who are we going to be through this? Are we the kind of team that crumbles under pressure, or the kind that finds another gear, that decides we're not done yet, that tightens up, locks in, and gets back to work with more clarity and more fire? Resilience isn't just about surviving adversity. It's about using it to sharpen your focus, strengthen your culture, and reinforce your commitment. Every challenge is an opportunity to prove to yourself and your team that you are exactly who you say you are. So when adversity shows up, don't run. Stand up, lean in, keep moving, because resilience doesn't just carry you through the hard times. It prepares you for victory.